One cool thing we can do with Ionic is to access our phone's native functionality. Let's say you want to use the accelerometer or you want to use the camera, there's an API for that. The Ionic team built a tool called Capacitor, and what it does is a bridge where you make your JavaScript code do native stuff on your application. To enable Capacitor, we are going to open the terminal in the root folder of our application, and we are going to write Ionic integrations enable Capacitor. Once Capacitor is installed, we have to create a build for our application. This is because Capacitor needs to know the assets it's going to be working with. And after that, we can select the platforms we are going to enable. We use Ionic cap add, and we say, okay, let's go and add iOS. Then we can run the same Ionic cap add Android, and we are adding the Android platform. One important thing to note is that you can only add iOS if you are working on a Mac with Xcode. Then we are going to do Ionic cap sync, and this is going to sync all of your application assets into the respective folders for either the Android or the iOS platform. Okay, now that we have everything installed, we are going to serve our application and open it navigating to localhost and the port 4200. The idea is to test this functionality, so we are going to be able to add pictures in our application. The idea is that you can go into one of the movies and you can add a new button to add a new picture. So let's open the add movie file. We're going to open both the HTML and the TypeScript file. In here, we are going to add a new button, and we are going to say, just as in the delete option, this button is only going to be available if the movie is not new. We don't really want to add pictures when we are creating a movie. It's just going to be for updating. Let's change the color, and it's going to call the take picture method. You see that doesn't exist, so let's create it. And for now, it's just going to log to the console, I work. So when we save, we now have a new button, and you can see it's not showing here because warn wasn't the proper color. I think it's warning. All right. So when I click add picture, let's open the console, and we can see that it's adding I work. Now it's time to start adding the functionality, so go back to the TypeScript file, and first we need to import Capacitor plugins. Let's import plugins from Capacitor core. Let's see here. Once we have the plugins here, we're going to say, okay, which plugin am I going to use? I'm going to use the camera plugin from plugins. Now we can go down to our take picture function. We are going to change this to return a promise because this is going to be an async function. So we are going to remove this line here, and we're going to do a try catch. And the functionality is going to live here inside of the try. Here we're going to say that we are going to get a movie picture. And that movie picture, it's going to be await the camera dot get photo. This get photo method takes several configuration properties. So we are going to pass the most important ones are, let's see, quality. Let's say this is going to be a 90. Allow editing. We are going to say this is false. So the picture you take is the picture that's going to get there. And the last property is result type. This is going to be the type of format we are going to get our picture. So it can be either a file, a blob, a base64. And for that, the plugins have an interface. We can import it here. In plugins, it's called camera result type. And we can say then that result type is of type camera result type dot base64. We only want the base64 string because that way we can just add it to anywhere we want. Then we can go back to our movie. We are going to add a new property called image, and we are going to start it as null because not every picture is going to have an image attached to it. And you can see that when I click add picture, we get an error. It's not opening, like it's trying to get the picture from my file system, but it's not opening the camera. This is because this is a native functionality that works in your mobile phone. You can also make it work on the browser, and for that we are going to install Angular PWA elements. To install PWA elements, let's open the console, let's clear it, and you can type npm install Ionic PWA elements. Once that's ready, we can serve our application again, and we can close the terminal for now. Then, to enable custom elements, we are going to open the main.ts file. In here, we are going to import define custom elements from Ionic PWA elements. And there, we are going to use that method and we are going to pass the window. Now, when you save and you reload, you can see that if we click the add picture, it's going to open the camera and hey, you can see me right there on the screen. Now we can close this file and let's get back to the add movie page, where we are going to log the movie picture to see what we are getting in the end. Let's try that again. Let's click add picture. Let's take the picture. Then we can either say, okay, I want to take it another time or I want to accept this picture. Let's click OK. And you see it's logging. It's a JPEG picture. And here it's the basics for string. Now that we see that our application can take pictures, the idea is to do something with those pictures. They are not going to do anything if you leave them there as base64. And for that, we are going to use Cloud Storage from Firebase. Cloud Storage is a storing service where you can add your files. Let's say you want to upload a picture, a PDF, or something like that. That's the place you would do it. For that, first, let's check our applications console. And in the applications console, we are going to navigate to storage. If you open the menu here, we can see that it says storage. And in here, we have a bucket already created. If this bucket is not there, you're going to have a button like create a bucket. You just click get started and follow the steps, and it's going to be done in a few minutes. Once you have that, let's go into the rules. And you can see that it says allow read write if request.auth is different from null. This means that it's only going to allow read and write requests from authenticated users. Since we are not doing any authentication right now, we are going to change this to true. So this means that your storage bucket is public, so you need to then come back later here and modify these rules. But for the purpose of testing, we are going to leave it like this. Then we can go back to our application, and there are a couple of things we need to do. First, let's go to our app module. And in here, where we were defining Angular Fire, we told our application that we were going to use the authentication module and the Firestore module. But we are not really using authentication. So we're going to replace that import with Angular Fire Storage module, because we are going to use storage to upload our pictures. Then you click Save, and now the storage module is available in our application. Then we can go back to the Add Movie page, and right below where we imported Angular Firestore, we are going to also import storage. And here it's going to be Angular Fire Storage. Then you're also going to inject it into the constructor. And now it's available to use inside our class. So let's go back to the take picture function. And first we need to create a reference for our movie picture. So this would be a movie picture reference. And this would be storage.ref, and then we are going to give it a path. We want this to be movies, then the movie ID, and then the name of the file with the extension. Once we have that reference, we can use it to actually upload the file to storage. Among the methods available for us, you're going to find the put string method. The put method is when you want to upload a file directly, but in here we have the picture in base64 format, so we can use put string. And put string is going to take the movie picture dot base64 string. After our picture is finally in storage, we want to actually use it. For that, we are going to wait until this promise is resolved, and then we are going to get the download URL for that picture. We don't really have to wait here because we're getting the download URL from the picture reference, but it's a good idea to wait until the picture is actually in the system to get that URL. So we can say something like this, movie picture ref dot get download URL, and this is going to be an observable. So we are going to subscribe to this, and we are going to get the download URL. And then we are going to say, okay, our movie dot image is going to be the download URL we are getting here. And if after this you go ahead and log whatever it is we have in movie, you can see that, let's test it. Let's click add picture. Let's take a picture. Here, now we can click OK. And you say that we have the Shawshank Redemption, this is the rating, and this is going to be the download URL. Or we can actually use it inside our application. So we can go back to add movie.page and we can add an image here. So right below movie rating, we can say something like image. We only want this image to be here. So ng if movie.image exists. And here we can pass to the source image, the movie image directly. And now when we test this, we can see that I click here, then I click OK, and it's not working. We see that it's a broken image here, and that's because we actually uploaded the image, but we didn't set the content type. So the file might have the .png extension, but Cloud Storage doesn't know what type of image we uploaded. To fix that, we are going to go back to our putString method, and right after, you see here, it's going to take the data, the format, and the metadata. So right after we add the image, we are also going to add the base64 string, and then the content type is going to be image/png. Now we can save this and test again. And you see, now we can show the picture here, and that picture is actually stored in our cloud storage. And now if I want that picture also to be in the database, I can click on Save Movie, and it's taking me out to the list again. And if I click on the Shawshank Redemption, I have my picture here. Just move this so you can see. Here. If I click back, I can go into another, like Twister, go back, this test, let's remove it, go back. But when I go into the Shawshank Redemption, we already have it here. And what I can show you is that if I go here, we have the picture in Cloud Storage, but also when we go into Cloud Firestore, that's our database. Let's look for the movie, and here we have the Shawshank Redemption, the rating, and we have the download URL for our picture.